Alright guys, this is a big one. This is a bold one, but I genuinely believe that this Omega watch is the best Speedmaster that they've ever produced. Hear me out. I feel like with the Omega Speedmaster range, you just have so many variations to choose between. And it's almost like when you go to, you ever be to a restaurant and you have too much food on the menu and all of a sudden your brain just can't comprehend what to actually buy because there's so much there. Well, I feel like Speedmasters are quite similar to that. There's just so many variants to choose between, but I think above all else, this one stands out like nothing I've ever seen. This model is the Omega Speedmaster Silver Snoopy 50th anniversary. And as the name might suggest, it is the 50th anniversary timepiece which pays tribute to the Silver Snoopy Award that Omega received from NASA's astronauts in 1970. This was in recognition to the space exploration side of the Speedmaster, specifically in the Apollo 13 mission. But why the hell would a watch get a Silver Snoopy Award that's designed for astronauts? Well, that's where the incredible history of this watch comes in. Before we go any further, we have the 90k giveaway. We are giving you the chance to win a Certina DS Action Diver 40.5mm coming in at £765. This is a huge thank you from me to you for helping us hit 90,000 subscribers. And all you have to do to enter is 1, subscribe to this channel, 2, like this video, and 3, comment with your favorite luxury watch. Thank you so much for helping us hit this incredible milestone. This is my gift to you to say thank you. And at 100k, the giveaway is going to be even bigger. The Apollo 13 mission was NASA's 3rd mission to the moon. And everything was running well. Everything was going smoothly. And then all of a sudden, there was a humongous, drastic change. Essentially, 2 fuel cells in the spacecraft service module basically blew up. They ceased to exist. They ceased to work. And imagine, just imagine that for a second. There's 3 of you in a rocket and you're in space, and all of a sudden 2 of the fuel cells are gone. This occurred on April the 13th and essentially crippled the craft's main power supply. Oxygen was dwindling and water reserves were critically low. And this is where we begin to see the Omega Speedmaster come into play. All 3 astronauts on the spacecraft were wearing the Omega Speedmaster. This was part of NASA's official kit for all manned missions to the moon, and that's been the case since 1965. So essentially, once these 2 fuel cells did blow up, the first move from the astronauts was to try and conserve as much energy as they could. They basically shut down nearly all the power, and that included the lines to their digital timers. And now we get to the cool bit. Now we get to the watch, and this is insane. As the mission basically drifted off course, and I think it was roughly 60 to 80 nautical miles off course, it meant that the module would re-enter Earth's atmosphere at the wrong angle. Essentially, if they did that, everyone would have died. No joke. To adjust course, basically what happened is an exact 14-second burn of fuel was required. So they timed the 14-second burn of fuel with, you guessed it, the Speedy. And that's basically because they didn't have the digital timers anymore because they'd shut all the power off. So the Speedmaster, obviously the astronauts did incredibly well to navigate this, but the Speedmaster did kind of save their lives. I feel like when it comes to historical significance in a watch, you really can't get any more historically significant than literally saving astronauts' lives in 1970. But not only is this watch packed full of history, the specs of it are also absolutely to die for. So this model comes in at 42mm in diameter. With that said, I would say it wears slightly bigger just because of the pushers at the right-hand side. It comes in at 14.47mm in thickness, and the reason for that slightly elevated thickness will be revealed very soon. You're going to want to stick around for that because it's pretty incredible. It comes in at 47.5mm lug to lug. The case comes in full steel, and the dial color is silver. Actually, the dial is AG925 silver, which we'll move on to in a second, but it has a really distinctive hue to it. It has a really distinctive metallic-y white kind of pasty color to it, which is super, super cool. I'd actually liken it a little bit to the Opaline Dial Tudor Black Bay Pro. That's the kind of metallic-y vibe we're working with there. The watch is water resistant to 50 meters or 5 bar. The total weight is 90 grams. Remember, that's because it does come with a strap, so not a bracelet. And we'll move on to the movement in just a second. Now, the strap on this watch is probably the only thing that I'd change, if I'm totally honest. It comes with a blue nylon strap, and just because of the way this sits on my wrist, I've got quite bony wrists. They're quite slim. I'm quite a skinny guy, so they are a bit bony. There's not much cushion there. And because of that, it sits just slightly weird on my wrist. And I do think if I were to put the silver Speedmaster bracelet on this watch, it would look even better. So interestingly, they've actually used sapphire glass in this instead of hesselite. Now, hesselite is actually a softer crystal, and essentially the reason why the astronauts use hesselite instead of sapphire crystal is because sapphire crystal is more likely to shatter, poking a hole in the spacesuit, and hesselite doesn't shatter. It's a lot softer. It kind of scratches or it'd pop out, but it wouldn't create sharp shards that would be an issue in space. And interestingly, they've opted for the sapphire crystal instead of the hesselite. Now, I know for diehard fans of the Speedmaster, they'll say that the original, the hesselite, is better. Personally, I'm more a fan of sapphire crystal just because it's that little bit more durable. But let me know what you guys think in the comments on that one, because it's an interesting debate. Should they have made this closer to the original, or do you like it the way it is? The silver dial contrasts so beautifully with the blue hues on this watch. You obviously have blue subdials, you have a blue bezel around the outside, and you have Snoopy playing on the subdial on the left-hand side. It's interesting because I've often said that blue is boring. I've often called it boring blue. I've often said that I don't really enjoy blue. Blue is not really my color. I'd always opt for black instead of blue. I think it's just me. But in this model specifically, it works. And by the way, just quick shout out to the Chisholm Hunter Watches family, which is on Instagram. There's a group chat on Instagram. A really kind friend of mine, he doesn't want to be named, but a kind friend of mine lent me this watch through that Chisholm Hunter family group chat. So thank you guys so much for all the support. And it's great to kind of connect on there and chat about watches. If you want to join, head to the Chisholm Hunter Watches Instagram. But enough of that, let's move on with the watch. I just feel like because the hue of the blue, did not mean for that to rhyme, is so dark, it just kind of works, and it fits the theme with that metallic-y silver dial. The movement on this watch is actually super interesting as well. The movement on this watch is the Omega caliber 3861. And this Omega Speedmaster is actually the third Speedmaster to use this caliber. It's METAS certified, manual winding, and has 50 hours of power. This Snoopy, interestingly, actually shares the same core as the Apollo 11, the watch that I currently have on at the moment. And it was the third watch to pick up this movement after the two Apollo 11s that came out. I'm just looking at these watches side by side, guys. The Speedmaster Apollo 11 and the Speedmaster Apollo 13, both anniversary pieces. And it's just quite incredible how different both of these are. It really is. I mean, they're so... different's the only word I can think of. They're so unique and special in their own ways. And now we get to the Caseback, possibly one of the most watch nerdy, beautiful details that you will ever see in a watch ever. And that is no understatement. I'm very lucky. I've seen a lot of watches in my time, and I actually put off seeing this watch because it was rare and I couldn't get hands on. And it kind of upset me that I couldn't get hands on with this watch. Not that I wanted to buy it or I could afford it, but I just wanted to see it. I didn't understand what the hype was about. But now I get it. When you flip this watch round, you can see a massive silhouette taking up almost half the caseback of the moon. A level down, you can see a black canvas filled with stars and the quote eyes on the stars just above it. Then you can see the Earth really slowly turning in a circular motion. But a really interesting detail is when you start that chronograph and you look at the caseback, around about every 30 seconds, you'll see Snoopy on a little space rocket, the space rocket being the Apollo 13 mission, quote unquote, going round. And it is absolutely stunning. It is one of the best features I've ever seen on a watch. It is so nerdy, so detailed, so beautifully executed. I am in love with this caseback. I think when it comes to important watches, there's really three main staples that you need to tick off in order to become significantly culturally relevant within the watch community. One of them is history. This watch ticks that box with a humongous tick. The next up is specs. You need to be appealing to the masses, in which the Speedmaster and also this Snoopy absolutely is. And thirdly, it's design. This watch is so unique in design, I've never seen anything like it. It ticks every single box just brilliantly, not to mention the incredible movement. Now, before anyone says something, I know this watch is so different from the King from the Seamaster. They're from two totally different sides of the world. They speak in two totally different languages. But technically speaking, this watch does have a little bit more history. It is that little bit more special. Would I wear this out and about? Probably not. It's probably too precious to do that. And that's where the Seamaster, the King, becomes the king in my eyes. But is this one of the most historically relevant Speedmasters ever? Yeah, I think I'd say so. But let me know in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please consider hitting that subscribe button or follow our Instagram at Chisholm Hunter Watches or my Instagram at HB Lifelens or the podcast, the Into the Mind podcast. And I'll see you guys real soon.